Hi all, and welcome to episode 22 of What Cause Inspires You. I'm your host, Faith Wang, and today I have with me Emmanuella. Alicia Gupta, my friend and fellow Humanity Rising ambassador, launched the What Cause Inspires You podcast as a way for students to share the service they're doing in their communities. We encourage youth like Emmanuella, who are making a change to improve the world, to speak up about their stories and become a leader in the movement. Emmanuella is a founder of GenZ Educates. Their purpose is to help those around the world reach educational equity and have the resources and opportunities to strive forward in education. She's going to be talking about how you can help others in your community and further, and how to advocate for equity worldwide. This presentation is being recorded and we will post this video on YouTube by Saturday and the audio on Spotify by Friday. Emmanuella, it's so exciting to have you here today. I'm sure all the listeners out there are ready to dive in. So let's get started.
Great, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so excited to talk to you.
So yes, this is my presentation and it's called The Time to Educate is Now. And so right here, as you can see, like this is a little bit of the website. It's like a sneak peek of the website. And then let me just start. All right, so let me just do a brief introduction. As she mentioned, I'm Emmanuella and I am the founder of GenZ Educates. I am also a student and I am an advocate for equity in education, and I live in the United States, located in Massachusetts. All right, so the reason why I started this was because I saw how bad things were getting in the world, as many have seen, especially like around these times when like people are starting to, question why things are the way they are and wanting to step up and do some things, especially with the like recent movements that have been happening where people are lacking in education to understand why people feel a certain way. And so because of that, I was like, if people can find a source to guide them or even just to help them in general get what they need in order to strive and move forward, then my organization can help provide that. And so here's some goals to create an anti-racist education system, which is one of the main things and reasons why I started this organization. So number one, I want to hire more minority educators in schools. Number two, reform the curriculum, pretty much getting rid of whitewashed curriculum, I'd say. And then three, getting basic needs and resources, and these must be provided for the students. Four, allowing for students to have a say in the decision-making processes regarding education. Number five, getting rid of budget cuts regarding education and adding more funding to public schools, depending on the situation. And a reasonable amount of funding should be given in order to make education fair and sufficient for students in worse communities. Number six, to get rid of all discriminatory practices in schools and to create an inclusive environment for students and educators as a whole. Without education, so many things will happen, so many places where you would be, where many others are right now, actually. So number one, there is no space for growth without education. You won't be able to just think about what you can do in the future, You won't be able to, grow with your mindset or with your actions. Number two, it gets rid of opportunities. Like, if you were to apply for a job, a person who, let's say, has a higher education is more likely going to get that job because they have more of, some training, proper training to get there. And many people do not have the opportunity to get that training. And number three, you wouldn't know what's going on in the world. The reason why we're aware of what's happening right now in the news and seeing all these things that are happening is because of we're getting educated. Doesn't mean it has to be like education, like math, science, reading. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we're still getting educated in a sense that we are learning more information that we hadn't known before. Number four, your voice will not be heard. Those who are educated are more likely to draw up crowds because they understand what they're talking about and they have information to back that up. And when you are educated, more people want to strive to be like you and to understand where you come from. And so not many people have that. And for that, so many people are portrayed as people who are voiceless and portrayed as people who don't know what they're talking about. And so what I've done in order to, promote this equity in education, like I haven't just been saying this and not doing anything about it. I have been meeting with educators in my own district in order to get them to understand where I'm coming from and help that they need. So right here, I met with the English department and the history/social sciences department. And then I also met with my principal, with the superintendent and the vice superintendent and the vice principal. And I also met with the guidance counselor, the guidance department lead. I understand that it doesn't just stop with education. Like, students in guidance departments need help, whether it be with getting the resources in order to get a higher education, which I know not many schools are doing a good job of doing right now. We need people, we need adults who already have experience to be able to help us and get to where we need. And these meetings have not been for nothing. They have been very successful. And for that, I'm glad, because I've noticed that even in my schools, even with, all this corona and everything that's happening, like they were really ready to step up. Like, seeing these teachers and just staff say that they wanted something like this, they needed something to push them. They need the students to push them, because before they were thinking about it and they're like, yeah, it makes sense to do that. But they said that once they actually had a student, bring up the issue, it makes them know that, oh, it's important to them as well. I met with the Board of History and English for Massachusetts. So I met the State Department lead. So that was something. I emailed them for like months ahead. They never checked. I mean, especially because like everything that's been happening, as I mentioned. And then one day I got an email from the Board of Education saying that, they wanted to meet with me to hear more about this, and that they were happy that, there were students who were willing to talk about this stuff. So this is where I go again. Like, you can't just sit around and expect things to happen, being able to reach out to people, which is like advocating for what you believe in. And that's very important to me. So yes, as I met with them, I brought up some important things that I felt were needed for the meetings. And so right here is a reading list that I put together when I was talking with the English department. And so I put together a list of books based on elementary school, middle school, high school, and I organized it by, history and English department. I have different categories: racism, prejudices, discrimination, Black and African American history, Asian Pacific American history, Latin, all that stuff. And I'll just read this paragraph quickly. It says, below is a list of books that should be included in our schools and all tackle social issues and historical topics regarding Black and African Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, Native Americans, Latinx, Latino, Latina, Hispanic Americans. These books are provided as they help give a new sense of perspective and help to build an anti-racist learning community. No person is ever too young or old to learn about racism and how to be more accepting of others. The list is organized by education levels and by the issues they deal with. The majority of American history is whitewashed and has Eurocentric values and perspectives, and these books will help to diminish Eurocentric thinking and to establish other perspectives. The reading list will also allow for students of color to feel more represented in works of literature and not feel excluded from the world and from their peers. What I saw after I sent this reading list to the teachers, of course, was that they came to me. They would email me and they would be like, can I share this with some other teachers that I know? Can I share this with teachers at other schools? And I was like, of course. This guide to go upon, like, it took me a long time to put together because I did it by myself, a lot of research, but I got it together and then I shared it with them. And it was amazing because they'd message me and they'd be like, oh, can I teach this to some students in my class? Or like, one of them was a coach for one of the soccer teams and basketball teams. And he messaged me and he was like, can you just recommend the best book you think that I could read with my students right now, that I could read with these athletes? And I was like, wow, we even have coaches who are ready for a change,
Yeah, for sure.
As of right now, we haven't really done like more of project-based ideas, but more of like just doing resources and research. But one important project that we had is changing the curriculum. As I mentioned, just stuff that's been happening, like meetings with the town, meetings with the state, some changes already placed since, books and classes. They have been looking to hire more people of color and teachers of color because my school has no teachers other than white teachers. I'm not gonna lie, we don't have any other teachers, no teachers of color anywhere. And I mentioned that with them, and they were trying to say that they were working on it, the areas that they went to, the places that they had the teachers that they could find. And I really had to stand up for that statement. I'd just be like, no, like, you can't just stay there then. There are teachers all over Massachusetts who are teachers of color who are looking for jobs, because you see all the time teachers of color is just like not having jobs because no one's going to hire them. And so I was like, you need to go somewhere deeper. You need to go somewhere further. As of right now, we have one teacher of color hired, but I think it would be better, like, to hire a lot more. I know it would be better. And so we've already added more resources for students. As of now, this year, the guidance department is doing like an SAT help for the college students, for the seniors who are going to college. They're giving them advice. They're going to help them, plan their way to college, which they've never done since the school was made, like, or 19 something, never done before. I had an idea to add a new course in the school. So I'm working with a teacher at the moment to create my own course for the school so that it would be like a mandatory class that all the students would have to take. As of right now, it's not going to be placed because, everything that's happening, but I'm hoping that it's there by the time I graduate.
Can you talk a little more about that course?
So it's called Building an Anti-Racist Curriculum and Multicultural Studies. So we're just going to talk about students of all backgrounds. We're going to learn about different religions. We're going to learn about different minorities. We're going to learn about all of this history, because in our classes, our history class, we aren't really learning stuff like that. I can't recall a time I've even learned about any Hispanic in class or Asians, in my opinion. I haven't learned anything about Pacific Native Americans. The only time I learn about Native Americans would be like the Pilgrims. We don't get to learn any more history. And so I was like, you could have this as an elective or a main course so that students can just, know that there's more to it than what they already learn in their classes. And so that's what I'm hoping to add to that. And it's going to be the culture of the oppressed. And so that could include women, that can include hijabis, all those people who aren't really focused on in classes. This right here is the person of the State Department who I met with. And then he actually invited me to film like a webinar with him. And so it was more like, I guess he took some clips of what I said in our interview, and then he just posted it on the website. Well, he's posting it, it's getting it together at the moment. And then, yes, another project was a school supply drive. It was very, very hard to do this drive, especially because people aren't really going outside at the moment because of Corona. I did this over the summer. I think I did it from July to August, late August. And so, yes, it started as an online crowdfunding fundraiser to get these backpacks. I ended up raising $600. I think in one day we got $600 something.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I know. And
Amazing.
It was a lot. All the money is still put on. We had a basket donation drive. We had to all that stuff. And let's see, I ended up purchasing like almost 200 backpacks, I'd say. Yeah, almost 200 backpacks. And because of that, I ended up reaching out to different organizations that I could give it away for, because, it's kind of hard to lead something like this when you don't have that many connections with people all over you. And so I tried my best, partnering with different organizations, which is a really good thing to do. It helps you get help when you need it. And so I partnered with the Salvation Army, actually. And so my nearby Salvation Army, I partnered with them, and then because they were already having like a back to school drive, and so I was like, I can donate all these backpacks. And so I gathered a bunch of friends, got all the stuff, brought it there. Luckily that we actually partnered because we had so many people there. All the backpacks were gone, and it was a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing.
My project, it's still going on right now. It's called The College Conversation. And so it's here on our website, a newer project where we interview college students so that students can learn about life at that college and how to prepare for college or how to get in. And yeah, we're still accepting applications for college students who want to get interviewed. Here is the interview. So like you click on here on the website, then you can find all the college interviews we've had so far. The advice column, I think we're still adding some to this, but it's like we have college students answer any advice that you have for college or any help you need. And then we have preparation talk, where we have incoming college students talk about how they got into their college, whether it be like, oh, any clubs they took, any classes they had to do in high school, so stuff like that. Yes, we are taking applications for writers or editors, so if you want to do that, just go through our Instagram or website. Website is genzeducates.com. So yes, this is our website. Created it with some help of my team. And then I had to do all this design. It was fun. It took a long time to do, but it was fun. And yes, this is the homepage. Right when you search up genzeducates.com, right at the link right there, you will see this page first. And so it says we're tackling inequity in the education system and are working on creating an anti-racist classroom. So yes, right here, if you click the nav bar that's on the right, so you'll see like 3 lines on the right. It's placed by the X now, but so we have different pages. We have the team page. So like from there, you can either like click on it and then you can see like if you want to join the team, apply for the team, or if you want to just see like who is the beginners, the starters of this team. And then news and resources. So that one is where we keep all of our articles. We have everything there. Events and projects, you know, what we've mentioned before, any projects we're doing. Submit your own work. We actually take submissions of any articles or blogs that you want to share, but you don't have to be on the team to share it. So if any time you feel as if you want to write a personal story that you felt about the education system, you want to share with us, we will freely post it. You can write it anonymously or any way you want. So as I mentioned, student resources. Here you can find the college conversation. And so yeah, that's the one I just mentioned earlier in the presentation. Tutoring services, as of right now, we don't have any tutoring services, but we have been coming up with the idea to start one. And so in the future, you can expect to have tutoring services for free, of course. And then scholarship programs for low-income students. So if you click on that page, you'll just be able to see like any scholarships that are happening at the moment. And if you can qualify for them, they're mainly for low-income students. You click on that if you need any help. And guidance, if you want any explanations of them, feel free to email us. We will answer that right away. Personal perspective, this is just like a couple of the stories that we have. One of them is written by me, fun, yes. And then one of them is written by one of the members of my team, Kira. And yes, these are amazing stories. Important issues, so you go to news and I'm pretty sure it's key issues, that's the one that's gonna be on the side. You just click on that and then you're gonna get to this page right here that says important issues. So if you click on each of the arrows, you'll be able to be seeing each category that we have. Here we have politics and key updates. Here we add updates on issues happening that correlate with the education system. And we also talk about how to become an education activist. So like I have like advice on like how to lead a protest for education, how to start your own, you know, organization, stuff like that. And then racism in the education system. Here we talk about issues that are happening that deal with racism in schools. And we also talk about racist policies and practices. You can scroll down. Yes. Then we also have categories that say students with disabilities. Here we discuss issues and policies that may impact students with disabilities, as well as creating inclusive environments for those students. And then gun reform is one of our topics. And here we discuss preventing gun violence and having safety in schools. And then another issue we have that we talk about is like we add news regarding students of the LGBTQ+ community. We also talk about policies that hurt this community and how to get support and how to support them. We also have another thing that we talk about, which is abuse and assault. And here we talk about what schools need to do to help students who need support, who've been abused and assaulted, as well as the necessary steps that need to be taken in order to help them. And then for criminal justice, we talk about discriminatory policies that cause majority students of color to get criminalized. And we advocate for changes in state policies. And so when you click take action, you'll be brought to 2 different things. And so one of the things is call/email to action. And so for this one, it says below are some call and email scripts that you can send to your representatives and senators. These call scripts include bills that you can contact your representatives about. Tell them about how you either want them to support or repeal the bill or act. And so this is our most recent one. We just added this. It's called the S4480 Advanced Coursework Equity Act. And this act will be used to lead to equity and advanced coursework and programs in schools. So that description is pretty much just saying like what you get to know about it. So it's just a quick description on what it's about. And then right there, it says proposed by. So we just say who it's from, what's his status, and then saying like what he wants to do with it. And then afterwards, there's a link that sends directly to the call/email script. And from there, you can just add in your name. You don't even need to change anything. Like we already have templates made for you and ready for you to use. You just add your name. You can get rid of ours if you want. It's fine. We really are not really focused on that, but you just have that. And then you can just call your representatives. There will be a link at the top of that document that helps you find the representatives for your state. And then there's also a link that says like what you need to do and how to find the bill and how to read the act on your own if you want to. Reform curriculum. And so below are some projects that you can partake in by sharing them with your schools and friends or family. And they are to cause awareness and falls within the school curriculum, as well as to change the curriculum as a whole. The equity in education letter. And this letter is so that you can send to your school districts and superintendents to get them to take the next step for education reform. It brings up topics of making the curriculum inclusive and no longer whitewashed. And so right there is a link to access it. So you would just click letter, and then from there you'd be sent to that letter. So I didn't share with you earlier, but it was pretty much just sharing my concerns for the education system and why it needs to change. I also included the reading list that I talked about earlier. So like if you want to locate the books or share it with your teachers or peers, just find the list and then you can just share them the link.
Awesome. I can definitely tell you did a lot of work on the website and it's very thorough, so that's amazing. Lots of important resources there.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, can you repeat the web address for that?
Yes, genzeducates.com.
Awesome. So one last question is, what resources do you have for others who want to get rid of inequity in education, as well as those who experience inequity in their schools?
Yes. So like, as I mentioned earlier, like some of them are provided on the website. Like you can just go there and then just move around. You'll find them all over. I promise you will find them wherever you look. And if you check on our Instagram, actually, GenZ Educates, all of it's GenZ Educates, you'll find some posts made by us that will talk about pretty much like stuff you need to see. So it's pretty much stuff that's on our website, but more simplified so that you can understand it better. And it also has like stuff that's not included on the website, such as like if you need something to learn about, you know, a topic in another country, because we don't just talk about education in the United States. We talk about education reform all over the world, which is why our team is filled with people all over the world. You know, we have people in Myanmar, Australia, we have Texas, United States. You know, we work on talking with each other to understand what we need to do to add for each other. And so right now, like we have some people who are living overseas or living not in the United States, and they just talk about resources that they can use for people who live near them. And so I have them do that. And then we are going to be doing soon, I think in December or late November, we're going to be doing something where, you know, we'll add some resources that are used specifically for those who are trying to, you know, like pass like SAT like help or stuff like that. And we're just gonna give some like tips on how to get through certain exams or certain things that are happening in school.
Awesome. I love how thorough you are with everything and how your organization covers such a big variety of just ways to make education more equal.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So once again, I know you just repeated it, but the organization's email and website are genzeducates.com and genzeducates@gmail.com. So if any of the listeners out there want to contact Emmanuella and learn more or get involved, contact either of those. So I think that just about wraps up my questions for you, Emmanuella. But the cause and the work you and your team do are amazing. And it's so important to have safe environments to continue learning, and it's inspiring that you're working to create those. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I will be attaching the email address in the description of our podcast if anyone has questions about the What Cause Inspires You series, as well as posting the application form to become a speaker. We love hearing about all the action youth are taking. And also be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages to stay updated on our scholarship opportunities, future podcasts, and events. Both are humanity.rising and at What Cause Inspires You. Thank you everyone for attending, and we hope to see you again soon at next week's podcast. And thank you again, Emmanuella.